Superintendent Dr. Nolin and School Committee Chair Chris Brezski hosted a 2-hour community question and answer session at Zervas Elementary School on Tuesday night. During the meeting, which was both in person and via Zoom, questions of the negotiations between the schools and the teachers were asked and answered. You can watch the entire event on YouTube at UTV Government.
I guess just to start, look, I know tensions are high. I know people are unhappy, and for tonight, I'd like to ask that we all be civil, and I want this to be a productive meeting. I want to answer as many of your questions. We want to answer as many of your questions as we can. So, you know, I'm asking, let's all be the kids that, the kids, let's all be the people that we want our kids to think we are. And that's you know, everyone in the room, which, you know, if you were brave enough to gather here in the weather, I'm sure this will be a civil conversation, but goes to folks online as well. So there's something I just want to state up front, that, you know, we've gotten to a very difficult point here, and we recognize that. And I want to recognize that this is a collective failure. It is our job as a school committee, as administrators, and our union colleagues. It is our job to figure this out and do what's in the best interest of your kids. We're not interested in looking back. We are interested in figuring out how we can move forward. So just a very quick overview of kind of how things have progressed. You know, I look at this and say we were kind of getting somewhere. You know, this is kind of how it's supposed to work. Not surprisingly, the NTA's offer on COLA, and you know, look, we're going to talk a lot about COLA's cost of living adjustments. It's not the only vector on which we're negotiating, but it's certainly one that gets a lot of the attention. And you know, their offer started well above what is the peer average of where these things have settled over the last year or so. Our offer started below that line, and we were converging towards it. You know, we are where we are now, but it's not as though there hasn't been some amount of progress that's been made, and there has been plenty of agreements along the way. You know, there's a big piece of this that just comes down to competitiveness of, is our offer competitive? And so this analysis here is looking at 4 different spots of teachers. So you know, a teacher with a master's who's on the top step, the highest paid cell in the salary scale, etc. This is the NTA's leadership analysis. This was posted in their November online update. It is their peer group, which consists of 8 schools: Belmont, Brookline, Concord, Carlisle, Lexington, Wayland, Wellesley, Weston, I think I missed one, Lincoln, Sudbury. This analysis has not changed from when it was posted, with the exception of, I think the numbers for Weston were wrong and we corrected them, but I'm happy to have that discussion if there's disagreement. And all I've done is updated this for our latest offer. And if you look at us and you weight these 4 employees, so to speak, equally, and again, this was their choice of 4 employees, we are the median district. We are 5 out of 9. That's how we rank. That is our current offer. So as I mentioned, there is other vectors on which we're negotiating, and parental leave and healthcare are probably, you know, 2 of the most prominent ones outside of COLAs and salaries. And again, here we're just looking at where is our offer relative to the peer average and relative to the peer range using that same peer group, which is their selected group of peers. You know, I would argue, I think Dr. Nolin would probably argue that we think a broader peer group is more representative, but we will use their comps to have this discussion. And, you know, the question I look at is, okay, you know, are we competitive? I'm sure, and with certainty, they would like us to be more competitive. There's no question about that. But given the gap in where we are right now, it makes it really tough to move forward and figure out where that, you know, where that point of agreement can come.
First, I just want to say that while negotiations is happening, and I've never experienced in all the 36 contracts that I've done anything quite like this. Typically, there's negotiations done under certain norms and conditions, and then jointly agreements are released. And that is not something that groups here have agreed to, so there's all kinds of misinformation around. And there's just a lot of fake news. And you know, in the absence of actual things, there's a lot of things that get made up, right? So especially post-pandemic, I feel like there's more of that than ever. And people will get online and they'll find one little thing and they'll be like, there's the truth. So I have a few interests in tonight. Like, obviously, I want this contract scenario settled. But my number one priority is your kids. Good programs for them, opportunities, the best class sizes, the best programs, best curriculum, and the best teachers. So, but my job is to advocate for your kids first, before anything else. And then second, the NTA members are my colleagues. This is my profession. I care about it. I serve as the Tri-County Superintendent President, and we work to understand what are the salaries in the region. I don't want our salaries to be out of whack so that we're not attractive, because that's part of having what's best for your kids. So the question, of course, is how can we do that with the resources that we have? In what order? And in what long-range strategic plan? Because what I haven't seen is a long-range financial plan that shows us how to be patient and how to hope for what we can have in the school system. And that's what we need. Because then we can be good partners in the city ecosystem and say, like, oh, the police are doing this project, fire's doing this, we're doing this. Here's the give and take along projects within the city, right? We don't have any agreements like that right now. It's just like a death match for the money. That's what it feels like to me. So that's not good for children. And so I just want to say teachers may choose to go on strike, and we're going to love teachers. And they could choose to come back and not strike, and we're going to love teachers. And we're going to have to come to an agreement for children. And I think that we all agree on that once we get the hysteria of this moment out of our minds. So I'm going to keep saying those things because somebody has to take care of your kids. And also, I was deeply interested in making sure that our current offer was just released. So you have it the way it was given in negotiations, because you've got to be able to read it for yourself. And there's all this like writing and blogging about who said this or who said that. You just have the document from our legal negotiations, which I would never do in silent negotiations that typically happen, but here in this city, everything's open or not. So you have the document, so I just want you to hear it, that those are the offers that are on the table.